Ner Chanukah, so the Gemara says, Gemara in the Sugya of Chanukah in Masechta Shabbos. So Ner Chanukah, so the Gemara says it's the mitzvah to put it in the tefach, within the tefach, closest to the outside of the doorway. And then the question is, which side of the doorway? So the Gemara brings two opinions. Rav Acha Berei the Rava says on the right side. Rav Shmuel from Difti says on the left side, Vilchasa Mismael, and the halacha is that it should be placed on the left side, like Rav Shmuel Medifti. And the Gemara gives a reason. This is all a quote from Rabbi. The reason that the menorah should be on the left is ordered that the menorah be on the left and the mezuzah be on the right. So the person is surrounded. Simple meaning is a person is surrounded by mitzvahs. Moving, but on the deeper level, it's understood. It's not just. It works out nicely that this happens to be two mitzvahs there, but that they're connected. It's clear that the two are connected, right? It's not just happenstance, obviously. The two mitzvahs are connected, but one is associated with left and one with right. Moreover, the connection is to such a degree, they're actually one thing. Where do we see that? The halacha is, for whatever reason, the person doesn't have a mezuzah, he just moved into the house or whatever. So where do you put the menorah then? So the halacha is that maniach ner Chanukah yamin, you put it on the right side where the mezuzah would be. So that's pointing to the fact that they're not just connected and complementary, but they share, or they are one. Because if the mezuzah is not there, put the menorah there. In Pashtus, I have to look at the Mefarshim. In Pashtus, it's because they always favor the right over the left when given a choice. But again, the fact that we place it where the mezuzah is placed means that they are fundamentally, essentially connected. But Maril is the Maril. So the Maril was from the last Rishonim, who is quoted often because in Shulchan Aruch and the Poskim, he is described as the father of Minhagi Ashkenaz, of the European German, that is to say German European Minhagim, because Yidden began first in Germany, Poland, Germany. So he writes Issa, he gave a collection there of all the Minhagim. He says, mezuzah, you mean when Chanukah mismael, so the mezuzah on the right and the Chanukah on the left, balabais betalis mitzuyetes be'emtz, and the balabais, the person, is standing with a talis with chest sitzes in the middle. So now, what's the ma'ila? L'kai ma'ashenema, so this is in fulfillment of the pasuk in Keheles, v'achuta mashulish, a three-fold rope or strand, lebi meheda yenotik will not be quickly severed. So here's three mitzvahs, all intertwined, literally. Kind of the question, what is the point of a three-stranded rope or chut, or thread? You should call a gimel achut minyan echad. The point is that they are all intertwined and they're one. So what you're saying now is, first we had two things that are one, then we have three things that are one. So on the one hand, we're saying that they're so closely connected that they're one thing, conveyed by the intertwined rope, string. At the same time, they're opposites. One is left, one's right. The question is, how is this all one when left, which obviously Gvuda, and Chesed, right, which is Chesed, they're opposites. So if we say they're complementary is one thing, but to say that they're one is another thing. How can they be one? That's the shayla. Kind of similar to the question we had, right, in the previous Maimer. Because how does Atzilus, which is one, produce plurality? So let's begin the journey based. We find a similar phenomena by the Neres HaMishkan, which means Mikdash, the Menorah in the Beis HaMikdash. The pasuk says, "V'yata tetzavas b'nei Yisrael." The Eibusha tells Moishe, "Command the Yidden Yikre Lech Hashem and Zayizach. They should bring for you pure olive oil, lahalis ner tamid, to bring up a continuous light. Yarech Oisei Aaron Uvanav. Yarech, it should be arranged by Aaron and his children. May Erev ad Boker, every day it should burn from evening till morning." Here too we see the tensions throughout this mitzvah of contrasts. On the one hand, who lights it? It's Aaron. The oil had to be brought to Moishe, as the pasuk says, they should bring it to you specifically. And other sources, of course, this is before the Rebbe said his V'yata Tetzaveh. So it's explained, Shemoshe Rabbeinu Sheshvina de Malka. The Moshe Rabbeinu Sheshvina actually means a friend. That's what it literally means, but it's used in context of a wedding, usually. There's the friends of the Chas and friends of the Kala. So Moshe Rabbeinu was the friend. Sometimes it's used as in the sense of the accompaniment. In halacha, there's the need of sending gifts. It's called sheshvinin. So gifts of bride and groom. So Moshe Rabbeinu sheshvina de Malka. So he is the friend or the one who accompanies the king. Meaning, king being the Eibishter, Shein Yonai. What's Moshe's inyan lahamshich? Elikus milamayda lamata. Moshe Rabbeinu's inyan is to draw down godliness from above to below. The Yaren Akein Sheshvina de Matrinusa, the Matronisa. So Aaron is the friend of the matron, literally, the noble woman, Klal Yisrael. Shein Yonei ha'lo, his inyan is ascent. Lahalis malmata lamayla. So here too we see contrast. We see that the Mishkan has two opposite things, properties of Amshacha, descent, and ascent. Likewise, we see furthermore the opposite components in the natives of the Beis HaMikdash that they have to burn from evening till morning. So that too is a contrast. If it would say it should burn kol halayla all night, finish, that's one thing. But the pasuk is saying mi erev ad boker. The pasuk is dafke invoking boker and erev. So again, the tension of opposites. But the Gemara Ner Chanukah, so this is parallels. The Ner Mishkan parallels Ner Chanukah. She's by Beis HaKavim Hofchim Dimin Smile. It has the two opposite kavim, literally lines. or directions of right and left. Mezuzah on the right and Chanukah on the left. Shem al derech beikav erev, similar to what we see in the Neiris HaMikdash, Mishkan, that it combines Beik and Erev, and as we said, Moishe and Aaron, Hamshacha v'Hala. Okay, let's have to understand this. As consistent with all the Maimarim almost, I think all of them, of that year, Shnasakan, right, 150 years, that year, since the Stalkus of the Alter Rebbe, and we're coming to the end of the year now. The Alter Rebbe was this Stalkus was Chav Gimel. So so this is coming towards the end of it. 1812. Easy to remember. What's 1812 in history? Alter Rebbe is Stalkus, but something big happened in 1812. We know the story.
The War of 1812.
Huh?
The War of 1812.
The War of 1812, that's right. Napoleon invaded Russia. The Holy Stalkus was bound up with fleeing from Napoleon. So it's coming towards now the end of that extraordinary year. So we'll understand this by prefacing Maamar of the Alter Rebbe. Shashona, just thing that Rebbe pointed out, and he said every single Maamar, but that's the Shashona. He Shnas HaMeya v'Chamishim Istalkus. So this year is 150 years since his Istalkus. Bebichol Ksaviat Kodesh Admo Emtzoi. Again, it's in the same book, the same manuscripts, written by the Mitler Rebbe Magois HaTzemach Tzedek with HaTzemach Tzedek's notes. The Amaschol v'Atat. So, preface this Maamar Atat, which says there as follows. In the Omre Razal, so the Gemara brings in Makis as follows. Taryag mitzvahs nitnel Yisrael. The Eibishter gave 613. So before that, the Gemara mentions other Nevi'im that they established them on two principles. And finally, Habakkuk, from the last Nevi'im, from the Treyosah, from the last 12 minor, they're called minor prophets. The Midon Alachas, and he established all of Yiddishkeit, he distilled it all on once. That's obviously it means it's getting deeper and deeper to the core, etc. So, Shenemar, what did he say? Famous pasuk, Tzaddik the righteous, but Manosa Yichel lives by his faith. So he distilled everything to the inyan of Emunah. Obviously, the question is, what's the Chiddush? Obviously, Emunah is the foundation. What exactly is the Chiddush? But Akoponim. That's not the subject here. The Alter Rebbe continues and says, so it was evening and it was morning one day. So what do we see from here? Ein yom, a day, is nothing other than beli laila v'yom. It has to have, there's no day without night and day. End of what we're quoting from the Alter Rebbe. So we have to understand the flow of things in the Alter Rebbe's Maamar and the connection. So evening and morning, night and day are opposite. So you have to understand. Let's keep on reading. So we have to understand that nonetheless they become one thing. So what's Yesh Levayit Hemshech Inyan? No, he's answered. He's not asking, he's answering. So this is the Hemshech Inyan. The Alter Rebbe is talking about. You see that Maimah there. Doesn't talk about now Chanukah. Okay, start again. We're going to get the flow. So to understand our shilas, the Alter Rebbe says, and Midon al Achaz brings Chabakuk, and then goes and say immediately, Vayera v'yavayker, that ein yoim beli laila v'yoim. So what's the hemshech in the Maimah? That Erev and Boker are two opposites, and still they become one. Oh, so this is to explain Chabakuk. There is a b'mitzvahs, so many becoming one. That's the point. And even opposites becoming one. Sheyesh, on the one hand, is Tayag mitzvahs, and moreover, it's an Erev Avoker thing. Mamash. Why? Because when Echlokim, Bechlol is a Beisukim, mitzvahs divided into two categories. Mitzvahs Saseh, or mitzvahs Lo Saseh, positive and negative. Sumer Avasi Tov, do, turn away from evil, do good. Kav HaSmoel v'Kav HaYamin. The left kav, the right kav. So that is Shem Al Derech Beis and Yonim Derech V'Boker. This is similar to evening and morning. Halav Amshacha, ascent and descent. Evening is ascent and Amshacha is descent. And yet Mekamoke Min Yonim Echad. They're all one. Shezayin Shehamid and Chabakuk Alachas. That Chabakuk established them in one principle. So to explain that, the Alter Rebbe illustrates it. Vayera Vayavoker. That's Yoim Echad. Clear. He doesn't just speak about Neiras Chanukah. We're introducing this to understand our subject. Yeah. Yeah, we're clear, gentlemen. Guys on the Zoom.
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
Yes.
Good. Explains it that just like creation from the Erev. So just like creation has this contrast, this tension, night and day, every individual creation also embodies these contrasts. An expression of that is smallness, which you will soon define, which is Erev, evening, Laila, night, small in that there's no revelation. Vagadlus, and then there's expansion. Boiker, morning, Yom, day. So he starts first with the person on the kind of emotional level. He started off saying B'chol Nivra, but then launches immediately into who? Him. Because why? You tell me. He just said B'chol Nivra, and they're talking about a person.
This is the Adam Elyon. We're going to understand.
It's talking about B'chol Nivra, because a person's Eilam Cotton. B'chol Nivra, talking about creation now, not L'mayla. But a person is the embodiment of all of creation, because he's an Eilam Cotton. Remember the famous Medrash that we shared? Remember? That within a person's everything, even Malach HaMavos is within him. It's the heel. The hairs, forest, the whole universe, Pasha Begashmi, is reflected in the physical makeup of a person. So what do we see by a person? Sometimes he's really low, exceedingly low. His entire being, he's down. The seichel, the midas, the mind doesn't open, the heart is blocked. So sometimes he's a state of ashpala, and sometimes he's in a latent state, a very open state. The mind is open, the heart is open. That's b'chlal, his state of being. Now in his avodah, and likewise in davening. And it's talking about someone who's alive, clearly. Not in a state of mavis, like we learned in the previous Maimon. If you're alive, so you have these ups and downs. If a person's not alive, then Stam is just coasting along. So what do we see that there's such a person in davening? Sometimes davening goes, it just goes. The mind is open, literally broadness of the mind. Ba'amkos ha'asoga, deep understanding. And likewise, the begadlas hamidus, the emotions are in a state of expansion, expression, bislahavus, literally flaming, but means excited, v'simcha, and joy. Ulupamim, and sometimes titfilose bekatnas hamerich and b'shiflas hamidus. Actually translating this in like as a virtuous thing in avodah. Let's see. Sometimes the davening, this is not. Yeah, clearly, the first thing is described as just his state of being bachlal, and the same is also true in avodah. There is the avodah of gadlus hameichin and ispailos and islavus and simcha. Ulapamim tia tefillah. Sometimes his davening tia should be. But katnas hameichin the b'shivlis hamidus, not in this expansive state. She'as tia called ikar avidase b'tefillah. Now that could be because that's how his natural state is anyway. Like it says in Tanya, if a person is depressed anyway, so channel it and be upset about your avedas. So they do flow because of his emotional state then. So his davening is going to reflect that. It's interesting advice here too, don't fight it. Don't fight it. That's a big avodah to change the way you feel. Sometimes it's the way it is. He's down. For the reasons he can't control or what, maybe it's just the way Lamaila that whatever. Human being is always a state of flux. Can't always be. Not expected to be always in the high. Although I knew such a chassid, but I guess he was working on himself. Can't imagine he was always in a great mood. But upon him, if he's not, so what's his davening? Embittered. Embittered is not depressed, it's very motivated, but embittered. Believe nishber, a broken heart, when it can crushed, on his distance from the Eibishter. All to say that we see that what in creation and reflected in the person who is the Olam Cotton, there is katnus and godless. Katnus and godless in his state of being, katnus and godless, therefore, in his avodah. Yes, clear? And he continues it, the Alter Rebbe what's the source of this, of these opposites, evening and morning, night and day, in creation, as we illustrated within a person? So the source of it is the makir taka of creation, which is you think heaven is what I'm looking for? Huh?
Static.
Yeah, static. No, there's already, and it's Dafkin Malchus. But as he says now, Dafkin Malchus, there's the Rotze Veshuv, that is contrasting. Rotze means Aliyah. Rotze means desire to be connected and absorbed within the above, and Shuv means the opposite, to return and engage and descend. So this is Lamayde B'chinas HaMalchus Datzilus. This is reflected in Malchus of Atzilus. Shehi Sheresh, and very Malchus is the source of all creation. I just said it's Dafkin Malchus because it's in Malchus that the Primis HaKavana is invested. Pasha Debish is designed to be Melech here on earth, our personal king. Malchus is the repository of Neshamas Yisrael. That's where they all, Knesset Yisrael is Malchus, the gathering. So Dafke, the Malchus, is the true contrast and opposites. We don't find that in any other sphere. Makabul gets rooted in Pnimius Atik, becomes Altat Mashpia, as you said in your what? Your Chasana Maimed. Of all the spheres, Dafke Malchus embodies these opposites because that's Neshama Yisrael. There's the Kavanah. So therefore, the paradox and so on will be dafke expressed in Malchus. The other spheres are much neater and one-dimensional. Chacham is Chacham and Bin is Bin. Malchus is a constantly contrasts. So in Malchus there is these two inyanim, katnus erev, which is evening, the smallness, dark, ubchenes gadlos, and then there's greatness, boiker, morning, illumination. So what is it? V'hain kasher Malchus b'chenes rotzoi. Okay, let's just say the words here. So when Malchus is in a state of rotzoi, rotzoi means what?
Longing.
Yeah. Lala is to ascend, desire. Lala is to ascend, v'liskalel, to become incorporated, absorbed. Basvirish l'mayli meno, in the highest spheres, the b'chnes ha'chachma, all the way to chachma, complete bittul to the Eibishter. So then Malchus is what? Azi b'chnes gadlus. So Malchus is great. Saying in boiker, luminous, morning. When Malchus is in a state of return or descent, to descend below to give life to the spirit of the lowly, the biyah of creation. So as Katnos and Malchus descends and invested in creation, and then it's in a state of smallness, concealment. And that's the end of the evening. And this is what we say. She gets up while it's still night. When do we say this? Eishes Chayil, yes? Who are we talking about? Who's Eishes Chayil talking about? Malchus Datzilis. He's talking about your wife, first and foremost. Bemis. Embodied in whom is Malchus Datzilis. So she gets up early while it's still night. Vatit in teref levesa. Translation. She gives teref.
Orders to their house.
Huh? We learned this actually, friends. What does teref mean? It's a common word. It's a common word.
Like snatched away, torn.
Treifa. And what's treifa mean?
Torn.
Torn, literally snatched. So what's torn and what's snatched? The nitzut kedusha is snatched from the davar gashmi and elevated. This is Malchus. This is Yidden engaging the world and elevating the world. You do as it's known, Shebelayla at night. You read it. I have to see what that is. To look that up. I'm not sure what he means exactly. More than he's saying. Shebelayla Yeredes Be'ez Hashem. Shebelayla Yeredes HaMalchus Lavari Berurim. It doesn't mean Begashmi is dafk at night. It means Elam Hazeh, which is, but I have to see there. Maybe it could be that this is dafke Balayla. There's an Indian physically at night. So at night, Malchus descends to elevate the sparks. Now, I want to ask you, friends, the language here, explain it. And what does he say? When Malchus is in the Rotzo, it's like this. When Malchus is in Shuv, so what determines when she is? And does Malchus have some kind of independent will other than, what exactly does this mean? When she's like this, when she's like that. So when is she? Wait a minute. Night, day, what causes this? A Litvish Geman and the McGill student are sitting here, just heard the words. What does this mean? You're on the same page. Both intelligent and coming without any previous knowledge of this. Except that Litvish Geman has right, a background, he's big Talmud Chacham, the guy sitting here. He's a big London. No, so what does it mean? Just what? How would you explain this?
When is Malchus?
What does it mean when she's like this, when she's like that? So who determines this when and what? So Malchus's mood swings.
No, it's a term based on the influence she's receiving at the time. Whatever the type of hashpah that's happening. Like,
What does it say there? The origin of this flux is Malchus itself. It's not a trick question. Just Pasha, the Eibishter Skavana, which is Dira Betachtoinim, which is embodied, expressed in Malchus. That's where God brings creation into being. It's the divine word. The Kavana of Dira Betachtoinim requires Rotze V'shuv. You have to be in the world, but know that it's not your place. You need Shabbos and Yontif. You've got to be engaged and transcendent. Partially it means we're in the world. It's not our place until it becomes the Dira Yizbarach. Then we'll be Yom Shekoli Shabbos, and we'll be settled, happy, and serene, and part of the scene. Till then, we are fundamentally foreigners. That's the Rotzoy. You don't belong here. The world senses the Rotzoy in the Jew. You're saying today it's out in the open. You don't belong here. That's the Rotzoy of Malchus. Until the Vetit Teref Levesa is completed and all the sparks are elevated and the Eibishter Zavir Lamata, then we belong, the Eibishter belongs, and so do you. But it means so do you. You have no Metzias. Then you'll be a Metzias because you'll be part of the home. You'll be reflective of the soulmates that live here. Till now, you're Helim Vehester, and it's our job to illuminate you. So pay attention. That's the Avodah now. Not in those words.
What's the shuv before Mashiach? Huh? What's the shuv?
The shuv is Avodah Seberurim. So it's got to be constantly the tension of we're in here, but we don't belong here. The Rotzai. When will the shuv be Yashvas and forever? When it's all done. Then it'll be Gili Atzmas Lamata, the world that did Yisbarach. Then we're here permanently and for good, and not trying to escape. Not we ever wanted to escape, but we have to know this is not our place. Elam has it till it becomes the Dira Yisbarach. It's not a place for a nice Jewish boy. It's an expression. Being a rabbi is not a job for a nice Jewish boy. There's a lot of jobs like that. Yeah, okay, we'll stop here to continue. I just received, but the Levi gave me, Baruch Hashem, volume 2 of Rabbi Yoel's Fabrengenishin, and there's stories there, so God willing, we'll start to mine it, God willing, for stories. So that will come. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Thursday. Yeah, so Beis Hashem, tomorrow a story, maybe a story with my mother. Okay, friends. Have a wonderful day.